Ladies and gentlemen, the Joe Kuefler. I'm so excited to podcast with you, man. We've been friends for 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Since 2017.
17?
Yeah. Started at the fire department together. For everybody listening, I'm super excited to be able to pick your brain, Joe. Joe is a father, a husband, a community leader, a volunteer firefighter, volunteer EMT, sawyer extraordinaire. You're also a certified personal trainer, a small business owner, an entrepreneur. I mean, gosh, the amount of hats that you wear. You're a content creator now, officially. I'm going to call you that. All these different things. You wear so many different hats. And, I'm joking, but I'm serious about this. You're also quiet. You're kind of
Yep.
You're how would I explain you? You're stoic and quiet and a little bit almost mysterious. And so I'm pumped up to be able to pick your brain and hear more about your story, because it really has been fun, for everybody listening. Like when our friendship began, we were both newbie volunteer firefighters, really not understanding what we fully had signed up for, and kind of like jumping into this whole thing. And then there's that idea of, I think I'll call it foxhole camaraderie, but like when we do tough stuff together, bonds get formed and friendships get strengthened and stuff like that. And so, we'd had our fair share of the tough times, fighting wildland fires and, a bad car wrecks or whatever. But anyway, it's been cool to get to know you on a deeper, like personal level through those last few years. And then as you've kind of more recently put on your entrepreneurship hat and all of that stuff. So anyway, I'm just so excited about it. Where I want to start, if you don't mind, is specifically with your interest or your passion in physical fitness. Can you walk me back to the beginning? Tell me where that started, how that is, kind of come to fruition, and how your interest and your dedication to personal fitness and physical fitness, where does that come from? Tell me, walk me to the beginning of that side of it.
Yeah. I think that all started pretty young. My dad was a power lifter through high school and college, and, a pretty strong guy his whole life, and he's still tough, probably tougher than I am, but, so he was always into fitness, outdoors, and I think just growing up as a kid, we'd, just throughout the week do push-ups and just quick little workouts with him and my other brothers. I had 3 brothers and 4 sisters, so it was always a busy place. But I think my dad's influence was a big part of that. And then it just grew as I got older into something I really enjoyed. Enjoyed staying fit for all the outdoor activities I love. And it grew into something I needed mentally, I think. That mental outlet, because I am more quiet and I bottle things up, and I need something to release that. And I think strength training has been that for me for over half my life now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
You're one of 8 siblings? I didn't realize that.
Oh.
Where do you fall in, like, are you have 3 brothers, 4 sisters. Are you on the younger side, the older side?
The younger of the older side, I guess. I'm 4th down, so
right in the middle, pretty much. Yeah. What was that like, growing up with 8? And I've always known that the Kueflers are, I've always been able to see how important family is to you guys. I've been lucky enough to have my fair share of waffles with you guys at birthday party and all that, but I didn't realize that your family was that big.
Yeah.
Tell me what that was like, growing up as one of 8 brothers and sisters.
It was always chaotic, but it was never boring. There's always something to do. And my mom homeschooled all of us, and bless her heart, she's amazing.
She survived.
Survived that. And then Dad was a pastor in the ministry he still is now, but back then it's been probably 30 years. So he was always busy. He was breaking horses he had a ranch he was running full time, as well as the ministries. So we'd be either at home with mom or running loose on the ranch all day with, finding something to eat or not eating all day, just playing in the dirt. So
what a great way to grow up.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that's where, coming back to kind of like the physical fitness or the health side of things, was that instilled in you from an early age, the importance of physical health, or do you think that some of it was lifestyle, just because you guys had the freedom to play and I forget how you worded it, but basically roll around on the ranch?
Yeah, I think, all that's instilled young in a person. We had the freedom to be outside a lot. When you're homeschooled, you can knock out school super fast, and then you can be outside or whatever. And just being around horses and animals, and fitness was important to my dad. So that, that instills a lot in children also.
Right.
And I think being a more conservative family and eating like super simple, super healthy growing up, all had a play in that.
Yeah. How has that impacted? Because now it's obviously been it's stayed such an important component of your life. Walk me through the consistency and like how you've kind of stuck with, now you've got kids and jobs and businesses and, and volunteering and all this stuff, but it would be easy for somebody's priorities to shift, as responsibilities evolve and things like that. Walk me through how you've kept your physical fitness such a high priority and why.
Well, I'm like anybody else. I can let that slide as easy as the next person, I think. But what I love doing the most is being outside still and hiking and backpacking, hunting, fishing. For a while I was into rock climbing, ice climbing. I did a little bit of rodeo, rode a few bulls. Wasn't very good at it, so I quit, which was a smart choice. And I just like to try things, new things all the time. And some of them, once I've done it, I'm like, oh, that was cool. I can move on to the next thing. Yeah. So all of that has helped me want to stay fit. And the nutrition part of it came really slow. Like I'm a simple guy. I can eat simple. But once I figured out the nutrition part and how my diet should be, that's what really helped me out with being healthier and hitting goals, way faster. And maintaining that was pretty easy when I was single. And as a family starts growing and just through marriage, and my wife has helped me a lot with that for like meal prepping and encouraging me when I'm getting a little lazier or something like that. And I'm pretty, intrinsic person, self-motivated, and that's just part of how people are too. So that helps.
Tell me more about the nutrition side of it, specifically your experiences with, adapting and kind of, I don't know, I'll call it furthering your understanding with nutrition. And then I also want to hear about, how you implement that with your clients and let's dive into the nutrition side of things a little bit. And I'll preface it with I'm especially interested with it. You know this, but I stopped drinking alcohol 19 months ago, I think is where I'm at now. And just that change alone for me just changed everything from a physical fitness and a mental health, but that's a whole nother podcast. But change things for me. And then the only other thing I started doing is supplementing with more protein. And it has been wild what a difference removing alcohol and increasing my protein intake has taken on every component of my physical fitness. Yeah. So I'm curious what changes you made personally, and then also I want to kind of talk about how you approach that with your HOSFIT coaching clients and like more of where the nutrition falls into all of this.
Yeah. I guess through the learning process of that, when I was single, I worked out a lot. I still ate pretty healthy and simple, but I didn't eat enough ever for what I was doing. I've always had, physical jobs, working outside, and then going to the gym 4 or 5 days a week after that. I was not eating enough, definitely enough protein. So a lot of that came with when I wanted to get into personal training and just diving into that, either self-taught or when I took the NASM course. I learned, so much through that. And then just implementing that and seeing how quickly the changes come versus not having that knowledge. So knowing that a lot sooner would have helped me, be better off. But
I remember one time there was a late night wildland fire. That one on I won't say where, but it was you remember the one. We've got some cool photos from it. And we had both worked out pretty hard that day separately. And I remember just bottom of the barrel doing I think I had done my long run that day or lifted legs or something. And speaking of draining the tank and not properly fueling. And I was thinking back on that too. Quick anecdote. I want to get back to the nutrition thing, but how few of electrolytes we would drink. I had no clue. And so no wonder I would crash. Like that specific fire that I'm talking about, I worked all day. And then I think I went on my long run. So I probably ran like 10, 12, who knows how many miles. And then we got dispatched to that wildland fire, which we then fought for hours.
Yeah, who knows?
With
6 hours.
Fought on water.
Yeah, I did.
And maybe like a granola cracker. Those Nature Valley granola bars. Maybe, if we were lazy. Yeah. Anyway, just I think of like
the same.
What a different world it was. That wasn't that many years ago. And it's crazy how I don't know, once you get more information and then you can take action on it. Which that's one of the things that I'm interested about your story is, especially as it relates to the personal training thing. It seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you had a goal to become a personal trainer. You started going down through the courses of with the NA. What did you say?
NASM,
the National
Academy of Sports Medicine.
Okay, National Academy of Sports Medicine. That's where you learned about nutrition, and then you started implementing it. You got more information, and you started acting on it. Yeah, tell me more about that and how you use it to help your, I don't know, how has your perspective on nutrition changed as it relates to how you work with your clients?
Yeah, it's definitely understanding the science behind it and the studies, and my personal, just personal growth with that. Where last year, I think it was within or under 12 months, I started out weighing about 176 pounds, and then just tracking nutrition every day, hitting my exercises, my routine 5 days a week, and seeing the growth. Within 12 months, I hit 215 pounds lean muscle mass. So
wow.
I stayed about the same body fat percentage, but I gained almost 30 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
So that was huge, like eye-opener to how important that is, the science behind nutrition. And that's helped boost me a lot, and helping clients with that.
What changes did you make?
I started eating about 6 times a day and about 30-gram increments of protein, and to hit like 1 gram of protein per pound. That was the body weight you want to be. So eating about over 200 grams of protein a day and try to maintain about 3,000 calories, which works for me, but everybody's going to be different,
Right.
weight loss or muscle clear, whatever your goal is. So
separately from the physical changes you saw, how did you feel differently?
Much better. Recovery was way faster. Energy level was higher, and you can just feel the difference that what you put into your body makes a huge difference in energy output.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you mentioned a little bit there that's what worked for you, but there's different kind of approaches to, for different goals. Not looking for specifics or anything like that. I know that, you have to be, I know that you've kind of in your process with your clients and like really learning and stuff, but could you give us kind of like, I don't know, fundamental sort of like guidelines if, depending on your goals, like let's say somebody's goal is to gain muscle mass or build strength, or somebody's goal is to lose weight or to get more lean. Talk to me fundamentally about kind of the approaches nutrition wise for those two sort of groups of people.
Yeah, it's actually not too different with the studies they've done showing that strength training is more beneficial for weight loss even than cardio, because strength training, you're creating hypertrophy, you're breaking down muscle tissue, and then so your muscle is recovering longer and it's burning more energy than cardio is. So it's a longer lasting burn than cardio, where it's just during the exercise.
Right.
So strength training is going to help with muscle gain and with weight loss.
Interesting.
So, and then nutritionally, that's going to be pretty close because protein is super important for both, and most people do not eat enough protein. I mean, the average adult should be eating over 100 grams a day, and if you don't even eat 3 meals a day, or that's all you eat, you might not even be hitting that.
Right.
So, and so with weight loss and muscle gain, the difference is going to be kind of what you're eating for carbs and fats, and then like your total intake for calories in a day is going to change.
But prioritizing weight training for both and protein is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me again how many grams of protein the average adult should get?
Well, over 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people do get? I know that nobody knows that.
The people I worked with is kind of sad. Like, some people are eating what a child should eat, for their body. So it's kind of with whatever your weight goal is, that's how many grams of protein you want.
Interesting.
So if you want to maintain 160 pounds, 180 pounds, that's how many grams you want to hit each day.
Yeah, wow. So when I started supplementing with protein, which you're gonna laugh at me. It's kind of like you. Like, very recently did I start paying attention to nutrition. I've worked out hard my whole life, but the last 18 months, 2 years, is when I've gotten intentional about specifically protein. And the biggest difference for me has been my energy level in the afternoon. Like, I used to just crash, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. I'd be exhausted. Like, there's no way I could be podcasting, at 4 p.m. I need to take a nap or whatever. And so it's been so interesting to see how, as I've increased the protein intake, that my energy levels have, I feel like been more consistent, I think would be the way I explain it. Is that common? Is that something that somebody would expect if they kind of start increasing being intentional about the amount of protein that they're taking?
Yeah, for sure. Protein is a more sustainable energy, a longer lasting energy than carbs and fats. So fats and carbs burn off much faster than protein, and your muscle needs protein more than anything else for recovery and sustained energy. So it'll definitely, increase energy through the day.
Right. Where do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches fall into the mix?
There's some protein there. There's a lot of fats and carbs and that.
Sugar.
Yeah. But it's a good, quick energy food.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me more about HOSFIT coaching, because one of the things that's been fun for me to watch you do is get out of your comfort zone and start this company. And it's been really fun for me because I've been able to be involved from the beginning. So I've got obviously I've got some vested interest in HOSFIT, but it's been cool for me to see that what I've been able to observe is somebody who wants something bad enough that they're willing to go out of their comfort zone and stretch themselves from a personality perspective, I mean, you even mentioned, you're a little bit, quiet or whatever it might be, but also like with your content and building the company and like putting yourself out there. I've witnessed that. And so I'm assuming that because of the willingness to stretch yourself, that there's a strong desire for it, like usually the amount we're willing to, sacrifice or go out of our comfort zone is on par with, you wouldn't be doing that if you didn't really care a ton about it as much.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about it. Why? What made you want to start a personal training company? Why enough to go way out of your comfort zone and do this whole thing, and take the risks that you've done from an entrepreneur perspective? What's the driving force behind it? What's motivating you with HossFit?
I guess the name, I'll go with the name first. Hoss comes from like a childhood nickname, or when I was a baby, actually. Friends and family just called me Little Hoss. And I don't know if you've seen the movie show Bonanza and Hoss Cartwright, but he's just a big, stocky guy. And that's kind of the name, derivative of the name Hoss, comes from like Southern slang, big and strong like a horse, a hoss.
Okay.
So that's kind of where the name landed on that for HossFit. And I guess the desire behind it, I've always pushed myself in areas that I wanted to be better at, or something I wanted to pursue. I kind of went after it, and I hate being in crowds or public speaking or podcasting. But I've always tried to push myself in that area too. But with coaching, it's more of a one-on-one thing, and I like that. I can handle that, working with people one-on-one, and so that's been great. And I've just doing something I love and helping other people with that also. It was definitely, I guess, a calling, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
Had you been like thinking of being a personal trainer for a while, and was that always in conjunction with business ownership and starting your own coaching company, or like where did those two paths collide? The entrepreneurship hat and the personal trainer hat. Because I gotta think, if there's one path where you could be a personal trainer and work at a gym, but you've been, I think, a little bit intentional in how you've pursued it. Tell me more about that, the mindset behind it, and why you've because it's really like two goals: personal trainer and business ownership, entrepreneurship. Why that approach, and what's driven you from that side of things?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do it for a long time, I suppose. And I guess rather than going through a gym, I kind of wanted to do it my own way and with my own brand and the way I wanted to run it. And you'd help me with creating all that, my logo, my brand, and I love the way that's turned out. As far as starting into it, it happened when I wrecked my motorcycle and screwed up my knee and had knee surgery and was just laid back for a whole winter. And I was like, well, I'll take a personal training course, I guess. It was a perfect time to just sit there and study for months and go and take the exam and pass. And that was the start of it. And luckily I had you as a friend to get me going with the rest, because I had no idea what I was doing. So.
Tell me more about that. Because there's something there with like your approach to, I think, life and goals and things like that. But you had this motorcycle accident, injured your leg pretty bad enough that you were basically immobilized for a while. so many people in that moment would do, there's so many options with how you spend your time. You could watch TV, you could wallow in self-pity, you could whatever, doom scroll on Facebook or, who knows what. But you decided to improve yourself, start a personal training program and go through all of that, through those courses. I want to know why. Walk me through your mindset of, because I think that's because I've seen it with you with, you're not just a volunteer on the fire department. You're an EMT. You got your Sawyer. You've had these I've witnessed over the years that I've known you. I've witnessed this track record of continual improvement, continual self-improvement. So using that example of when you broke your leg or when the leg injury happened, and using that to kind of catapult you into the personal training program. But again, I've seen that across the board. I want to know, let me in your mind a little bit, where does that kind of constant drive for self-improvement and self-growth, where does that come from? What's your mindset behind all that?
I've always, tried to develop in personal growth. And, a lot of that comes with just mental toughness, and that was instilled in me as a young person, through just manual labor and hard work and never quitting. Doesn't matter what the project was with my dad or whatever, we're just going to figure out a way to do it. There wasn't any other option. Just getting it done, however that took place. So a lot of that came, being instilled as a child. And
that's work ethic stuff, though.
Yeah.
You've been intentional about improvement. I don't know, or maybe it's master, because you could have the work ethic on the fire department and not go get your EMT or not go get your 212 or whatever, all those other things. And didn't you even also go to Fire One? Mm-hmm. See, there's always been these I don't know, if you're going to do it, you're doing it all the way.
Yeah.
So I think it's more than work ethic.
I guess if it's something I have interest in and I want to pursue, then I'm going to go after it.
All the way.
Yeah. And yeah, if that's a certification or whatever it is.
Why?
That's a tough one, I guess. I guess it's just a no quit attitude. I'm never going to stop with personal growth if I have anything to say about it. But I don't know where that drive comes from, I guess.
If you had to speculate or guess, because it's a tough path to take. I think it's a rewarding one to take. Always striving for self-improvement and self-betterment and, going all in on those things. But it's also energy, high energy expenditure path to, if you just speculating even, the motivation factors behind that or the driving force or, even is it internal? Is it external? Are you trying to be the best version of yourself? Are you trying to, set stuff up for your family? Any idea where that kind of, that constant drive for self-improvement comes from?
I guess the easiest way for me to put it would just be constantly seeking adventure.
You like uncharted territory?
Yeah.
New things? Tell me more about it.
I don't know. I guess you
view your personal training courses as an adventure? Kind of?
Yeah. Just learning something I want to know and, where that's going to take me, I guess. And then, after getting married and having kids, the family is a big drive in that too.
Yeah.
Just not quitting. So whatever I can do to help them better our lives too.
Right. Yeah. So tell me more then about the approach from the personal training side of things. You've mentioned kind of this love for adventure and your love for, outdoors and, hunting and hiking and firefighting and all of that stuff. Talk to me about how that's influenced your approach to personal training and physical fitness?
I mean, it definitely cuts the course of how I run my social media or whatever, toward, I guess, that type of person. Just the outdoors type, hunters and fishermen, strength trainers. I guess I've leaned more toward the bodybuilding side of fitness. I know that's not the most functional all the time, and probably not real sustainable for me too much longer in my 30s.
You're getting old.
Yeah, but it's what I love doing. So yeah, just helping clients with just that lifestyle change and building personalized programs based on what their activities are and goals are, and it's just what I love doing.
Walk me more through that, like your approach with clients and kind of those personalized plans. How do you approach creating a plan or a routine or whatever it is when you're working with a client? Walk me through kind of what that process looks like.
Yeah, it's based on the feedback you get from them, and what their desired body type is or what their activities are, and then there's movements and exercises that are going to strengthen certain muscles, and just building out those programs based on getting the best results for them. And then throwing the nutrition in there also, which is the more difficult side for people, is following, a diet or a nutrition plan. I found that to be harder than exercising.
Yeah.
So
how does what's been like? I don't know. I'll call it your most rewarding, but like when you're looking at the clients that you've worked with, or the challenges that you overcome, or things like that. What's been your favorite part of owning a personal training company and, building Hostet Coaching and stuff like that? Like, walk me through some of the fun, the client wins or the fulfilling parts, or, the things that you're proud of from the company.
Yeah. I guess just watching it click for them, and like when they're gung-ho and they're hitting their workouts and they're tracking their food every day, and they're seeing great results really fast. That's super encouraging, exciting for them, exciting for me. And then even, the client or non-paying clients or people who are just watching social media and getting feedback from them, it's encouraging also.
Yeah. What's that been like putting yourself out there on social media from because personal training is a little bit, it's vulnerable. I mean, it's vulnerable. I mean, it's a little bit invasive. You have to show your body and like moving and movements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How's that been? And what is that? What's that like for you? And what has been kind of the some of the feedback that you've received?
It's been a big learning process, and a lot of it's been uncomfortable. It's social media could be a scary world,
I got my first hate comment on one of my podcast reels today. Yeah.
Oh man.
Somebody did a breaking heart emoji and said, "Not everybody needs a podcast." And I commented back, and I just said, "Hey, thank you so much for listening.
Yep.
And for taking the time to comment. Hope you have a great, whatever."
I know.
It's that. The social media world's
always going to be that.
Always something, yeah. Everybody's a critic. It's easy to criticize the man in the arena, the guy doing it.
It is. Yeah, and I think with social media, the more just like practicing posing and showing, my fitness level, it's tough to do that. But I've always kind of had this desire, I guess, to compete in bodybuilding, and that just scares me to death, to be on a stage, posing in front of hundreds or whatever, thousands of people.
Right.
So some of that with social media has helped. And, lately I've been looking into just natural bodybuilding competitions and what that would look like and which direction to go with that. So that might be something I push myself further in the future, which still scares me to death. But but I think it would be something I'd regret if I didn't do.
Right.
Maybe.
Especially if it's already on your mind.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Like it's already decided.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
I think that's what happens to me.
Exactly.
And then I got to go after something till I've done it.
Now you have to do it. Yeah. I've been the same with my ultra running.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I start thinking about, like when I started thinking about the 100-mile distance, it was already over. It's just a matter of when and how it was going to look and, whatever. But like once I started contemplating that as a goal,
Yeah.
The ball's in, the things in motion. So it sounds like you're already in trouble, Joe.
I know.
That's happening.
It's got to happen.
Yeah. Tell me about that though. Like, cause you've kind of had this, like right there's another example of outside of the comfort zone, pushing yourself, doing something that you're not comfortable with and kind of that continual, growth initiatives. How do you apply that when you're working with clients? Because it's almost kind of one of those, like I've seen it with my business, for example, like I have to practice what I preach from a marketing perspective. And when I do, my business grows. And then my ability to speak to the value of that to my clients, evolves and grows too. Like there's kind of this like practicing what I'm preaching, do as I say and do as I do type thing happening. And it seems like you experienced a little bit of that with the nutrition, your nutrition experience. But I'm curious, just like a layer deeper, because you're trying to have people have lifestyle changes and change their physical fitness, whether it's building strength or losing weight or whatever, which requires them to be out of their comfort zone as well. Meanwhile, you're over here still continuing to do that, go out of your comfort zone in different ways. Talk to me about how that has helped you, from a coaching perspective and with clients, and how those two paths kind of intersect.
Well, I definitely have to practice what I preach. I have to be doing it myself, and people watch that. That's the main thing people care about is what I do, what I look like, and what results they get. I can't say that anybody has asked me if I'm certified or have any of that or even worried about it. They care about getting results. And working with clients, they're all different. You got to, I guess, read people and know how much you can push them, where they have maybe a tougher personality and need that, a little harder encouragement. And like just trying to do that through the week, just keep them motivated and pushing them to get their exercises done, to track their nutrition every day, which can be a pretty, tiresome process. But once you're into the groove of doing it, it's not, too difficult. And it might require some meal prep and things to set you up for the week, right? But, you can do that instead of wasting time doing something else. Everybody has time to do things that are important to them. So
if you were talking to somebody that is, wanting to make a lifestyle change, wanting to kind of, I'll call it, get control of their health, where would you tell them to start? What would be step one for somebody?
I guess being more conscious of what you're eating. And I mean, you gotta gain some knowledge in that area too. You have to do your research and your study, or seek knowledge in somebody else that knows what they're doing. So just look for that. Or I'm not sure. Like some people, are self-motivated, and some need outside encouragement. So however you need to implement that to reach your goal, that's what you got to do.
Right. How about from aside from the nutrition, like somebody who is very new to exercise or weight training or strength training or things like that, I know for a lot of, especially like females, especially, the idea of strength training in a gym is scary. Like it's daunting and can feel a little bit overwhelming. What would be your advice to somebody who has that desire, that wants to, wants to get stronger, wants to get healthier, wants to move their body, but doesn't necessarily know where to start? And you can't say call Hospice, I'll say that for you. Obviously, call Joe and, get the plan. But aside from that, like somebody who's where would you start? Like what, if you had to say, I'm going to call it the strength training 101, like physical fitness 101 plan for somebody who just needs to get started and start building that strength, what would that look like? What would you tell them if they're listening?
Yeah, there's different ways to do that. And I mean, you have the entire internet at your fingertips to research that. But if you're more comfortable just starting at home, you can do that with just body weight exercises or a few dumbbells or however you want to do that. Starting in the strength training, you don't need to have a lot of equipment or weights, or if you're comfortable in the gym, that's a great place also. And gyms usually have, a free initial personal training course or, time you can schedule to go through different machines or exercises with a personal trainer in the gym, or looking for a coach in that area that specializes in, the goals you want to reach.
What would you say, is there any downside to machines versus weights?
I guess machines are just a little more restricted in movement, I suppose. I guess there's less chance of injury in that, but I've always preferred free weights. But either one can get the job done.
Right. So, what's been the hardest part about starting a company?
I guess just trying to get the name and brand in front of the right people.
Yeah.
Just like you can advertise and do work social media and all that and get tons of views and responses and everything, but finding the one client or whoever's that actually is interested or wants help, that's the hard part.
Right. Yeah. Yep. What's kept you motivated and sticking with it? Because and Hospice's been, it's a couple of years old now.
Yeah, going on 2 years.
Yeah. So and I know that those trust me, I know from experience, the first year and two from business is it gets easier the longer it goes, for sure. What has kept you on top of it and motivated and you kind of staying the course from the business side of things?
Just having, other entrepreneur friends like yourself encouraging me to just keep pushing through, and whether it takes 3 years or 5 years, it's not going to happen right away. So just being determined to keep going with that, through friends, through family. My wife has encouraged me a lot and helped me out a lot with just staying motivated and staying on track for my goals. And
you feel like do you think you could do all the things you do if you didn't have the support system and the wife that you've got?
Probably not. I don't like to cook. I don't like to do any of that stuff. So she helps big time with like nutrition support, meal support, especially when I got to work all day and throw all that in my lunchbox and remember to eat it throughout the day,
right, with
2 or 3 hour increments so I can stay on track for my goals. I don't know that I would do that as a single guy. Unless I was doing like a food order thing, it just came to my house. But yeah,
tell me more about that, because like I mentioned earlier, you've got your full-time job, you've got your volunteer fire department commitments, you've got the business and your personal training side of things, and then you've got also your responsibilities as a father and a husband and, a family man and all that stuff. How do you balance it all? Or do you?
Yeah, I might not always balance it great. But I mean, there's not a lot of downtime. It's just, you got to stay moving. And, I've always had that drive to take care of my responsibilities, work before play, my dad always said. So you get your work done, and then you have time to play, which doesn't happen a lot, Through the summer, I work, seasonal job, full-time still. So summers are super busy, but I do get time off in the winter that,
right.
Is great for family time and then reaching my fitness goals, working back up in my lean muscle mass, and which gradually drops off through the summer every year as I work and, expend more energy. But
And then build it back up.
yeah, and build it back up.
Where does volunteer firefighting fall into this? Because that's an interesting thing too, is that you've stuck with that for, I think you're at 8 years, 7 or 8 years now, and super consistent. And obviously it's volunteer, it's not a paid gig, and they're super time intensive, and there's all of the things that go with that. How come you've stuck with that?
I think, everybody should be involved in something in their community too, whatever that looks like. So that's just one of the things I've loved doing, and I love the people there that I've met, the training I've got, and just the impact we make on the community. So that's important to me. I just try to stay, as involved as I can, which I'm more involved in the winter when I have more time. But yeah, just staying in a community involvement is super important too.
Why is that important to you?
I guess it all goes back to the way I grew up. I mean, we grew up in my dad was in the ministry. We're just constantly doing things with other people, for other people, and just seeing the impact, I guess, that makes on their lives. And, I still have that belief, behind things is, God, and just the impact he has on my life, and, just trying to help other people. And that's also where, I guess, the rabbit trail here is just me being so driven to be outside and outdoors. And that's just kind of what draws me closer in my faith also, and to God. And that connection has always come in, just being in the wilderness or whatever. But that was a little bit of rabbit trail. But just that connection to helping people, that's what we're called to do as a believer, and just always doing that, growing up. And I've been on several, trips to Mexico, just helping build churches and orphanages. And I've always enjoyed doing difficult things with people. That it creates a connection, I guess, deeper connection with people, doing hard things and hard labor.
Too bad there's not an easier way to get that, the connection.
But I love doing it.
Well. I mean,
yeah.
He's been on the show a few times, but he has a philosophy that when you need help others.
Yeah.
Like his whole thing is like if you're if he's needing help, if he's needing a pick me up or a client or whatever, he just pivots to going and finding somebody to help, and believes that that comes back around full circle. And I think that that's true. I've definitely seen that in the fire department. Like, it's so cool that we get to help people, and when we're wearing the firefighter or EMT hat, like that's obviously the stuff that we get to do is really neat. But I think it helps me. I think it helps me more than anybody. I mean, maybe not literally. Like sometimes literally, if we're physically saving a life or getting someone breathing again or whatever. But it's something so interesting about like when you put yourself second and help others, that it actually ends up benefiting you. I think more than them. Tell me about those trips to Mexico.
So we did I think I've been on 7 different mission trips into Mexico, just with our church group or different church groups around the country, really. A bunch of people, might be like 15 to 20 people all hopping in buses and driving all the way to Mexico and then figuring out, visas and getting vehicles there. And but yeah, there's just always something, fulfilling about helping other people, especially, I guess I don't know how to word it, those less fortunate or, in third world countries, where we have so much here, and then seeing how little they might have.
Right.
And yet they're still so thankful and so happy and so welcoming. All that's just a great experience to have.
It helps you appreciate what you've got.
Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of, I think, coming back to that whole, I think we benefit more. It's a weird thing. I've always believed that the most direct path to a fulfilling life is through service of others. The more value we can add, the more people we can help, the more love we can spread, the more good we can put out there, the better we end up for it. And it's such a how cool is that the more good we give, the better we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What a neat way of get to have this human experience, that the more we pour into others,
yep.
The more we get filled up, which is so counterintuitive,
Mm-hmm.
How do you approach that with your parenting? And I know your kids are young, so they're I know that there hasn't been these critical life lessons or anything yet. But when you look at kind of your upbringing and your priorities now, how do you approach it from a father perspective with your kiddos?
Yeah, being a parent is tough, and there's a lot of things I use from my childhood, and a lot of things I have to change or get rid of. And it's been a learning process, just deciding what's good to stay and what needs to go. Man, that's just a constant thing of learning. And your kids are different personalities, and just knowing how to interact with that kid versus the other kid is different. And my wife helps me out with that a lot also, because I'm not a very emotional person. And you might not be super understanding all the time. I'm just this is the way it is. Well, why are you doing that or something? I'm have to
1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah, take myself out of the situation a little bit and process it different, even different than maybe my parents did, or it's just a constant learning process.
Yeah.
But
what's next for you? What's on the horizon? You talked about potentially this natural this natural bodybuilding competition, which I'm going to hold you accountable to that, by the way. You're screwed. Put that out there. Now that is happening. Whether you like it or not, because you told me. So now, you've got an accountability buddy for it.
Yeah.
But talk to me about other goals, from the business perspective, firefighting, personal training, just all of that stuff. What's on the horizon? What are we aiming for now? What's next?
Well, I guess definitely the competing side of it. I guess, I don't know. It's just a constant seek for adventure, I guess, and just outdoor things, trying new things or seeing new places, and doing that with my kids and my family as they get older. It's that's super fun to watch that and be able to do that with them. And along with the, I guess, bodybuilding, competing side of it, I know eventually I'm going to have to, change up the way I train, because I still have a bad knee. It's almost worse after surgery than it was before. So that's an issue. And then I have other issues that, are just painful. I found out I had an MRI, and I found out I have arthritis in my neck.
Oh no!
C4 through 7. So that's actually pinching on my nerves and wreaking havoc on my neck, creating tension and pain. And So there's just different exercises I can't do already, and I know I'm going to have to train, more functionally and not be as hard on my body in the future. Are you
going to start running?
Well, I don't know, but if my knee can handle that, I'll use that excuse.
Yeah, fair enough.
That would be good. I do enjoy, I guess, different forms of cardio, like cycling or rowing, more than I do running. I don't know why I don't like running. But for you, it works great.
It works, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. No, thank you so much. Thank you for, well, I want to tell you, first of all, obviously, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for giving me some of your time, because I know how valuable that is. But I also think too, sometimes I think that you don't necessarily get the recognition you deserve. Maybe it is because of the quiet personality or whatever, or your consistency, But I hope I hope you take some time, at least every now and then, and reflect on how much good you're doing in the world. Like the 7 trips to Mexico, the example that you're giving your kids. I mean, it was so cool when I saw your little brother on our fire a couple weeks ago when we were on that dumpster fire. And, the example that you're being for your siblings and your family and your kids and, your community and all that. But, I mean, the consistency that you've contributed to our community from, a firefighter and EMT perspective for the last 7 years is so significant. And then, now even your field of work is centered around helping people and, improving people's lives and things like that. And it's just so cool. So I also want to thank you for that, because this mentality that you've got of serving others and putting others first and, staying close to God, like you had mentioned, and all of those things, the world needs more of it. And you probably should hear it more often, that it's noticed, that it's appreciated. And so I appreciate it. So I've got, and I may be giving you one of these before. I don't know if I have, but one of my Inspired by Example shirts. Have I given you one?
Yeah, I think I have one.
Now you've officially.
Dude.
Yeah, now it's round 2. Because you are inspiring by example. And I just want to thank you for it, because it's refreshing, and I'm better for knowing you. So anyway, for all that, thank you, Joe. It's been fun.
I appreciate that. And you're in the same boat with me, so thank you.
We're stuck.
Yep.